Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your AEW Dynamite post-show. Man, there's a lot to go over, man, as far as Dynamite last night, and we're going to talk about all that on today's episode. Starting off the night on Dynamite, though, we got Toni Storm and Kris Statlander having final words leading up to their match at Wrestledream. Toni Storm talks about losing the title. She also says that she's not the same without the title. She is that title. Statlander then says that she's different since she's won the title. After that, Toni and Kris arrive in the ring. Toni and Kris both exchange in the middle of the ring. Toni then hands Kris the title for a free shot. Instead, Kris then hands the title to Toni for a free shot, but then Toni doesn't do anything and she walks away. Some interesting stuff there between Toni Storm and Kris Statlander. Moving on from that, we had the Gates of Agony taking on the Hurt Syndicate. I thought it was an okay match, back and forth matchup between both teams with Shelton and Bishop Khan both exchanging in the middle of the ring. Hurt Syndicate were keeping the pace of the match. Ricochet then attacks Shelton Benjamin. MVP then attacks Ricochet ringside. This allows Bishop to go for the cover, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are the Gates of Agony. Hats off to the Gates of Agony for getting the win in that matchup. Moving on from that, we have a face-to-face between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin. Now, I think this was the best part of Dynamite. We'll talk more about this at the end of the show, but I thought this was absolutely perfect and well put together. So both Moxley and Darby Allin pretty much show up at this prison, and they're in between each other. Like, they're both sitting down, and there's this plain glass window between them with a speaker, just like you would see pretty much at a jail, like a prison, if you will. So they're both sitting there. Moxley's talking about Wrestledream. He also says that he won't quit, and he knows Darby Allin also won't quit. So Moxley's trying to figure out what Wrestledream or this matchup with I Quit's all about. Darby says that he thought about joining the Death Riders until what Jon Moxley did to Bryan Danielson. Darby says that Moxley is the issue. Moxley says that he does what he does for the future of pro wrestling. Darby then praises AEW. Moxley says that Darby is fighting a ghost. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Pac opens the door, ends up beating the shit out of Darby Allin. I thought this was put together very well, man, and we'll talk more about this at the end of the show. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's Roderick Strong taking on Claudio Castagnoli. I thought it was an okay match. Back and forth matchup between Strong and Claudio, but Claudio keeping the pace of the match, and Claudio ultimately hits the finish on Roderick Strong. Pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Claudio Castagnoli. Hats off to Claudio Castagnoli for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we got a 6-man tag team matchup. It is Mark Davis, Josh Alexander, and Hechicero for the Don Callis family, taking on Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega. I thought it was a good match, man. Back and forth matchup between both teams with the Don Callis family keeping the pace of the match. Alexander then applies an ankle lock on Jack Perry in the middle of the ring, but the hold is broken. Omega then hits a moonsault on Alexander, followed by a V-trigger. Davis and Luchasaurus then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Davis going for a lariat on Omega, but Perry pushes Omega out of the way and takes the lariat. Jurassic Express, though, end up hitting a Doomsday device, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega. After the match, the Young Bucks rush the ring. They both attack the Jurassic Express, leaving Kenny Omega pretty much wondering what the hell is going on here between the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express. Other matches of the night, man, which I'm not going to go all into detail about these matches. We had Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue. We also had a 6-man trios tag team matchup with the Ops, as well as, I believe it was the Ops, and they were in a tag team matchup, I believe, against LFI, Roosh, Jericho, and the Beast Mortos. And then I believe Dynamite went off the air after that. Couple of things I'm going to talk about, man. And I wanted to do this review and just kind of talk to you guys about what I thought about Dynamite last night. I'm going to be honest, and I say this every week, and I try to do my best to not be a broken record with you guys, man. I thought this was probably one of the worst episodes of Dynamite in a long time. I don't know what the fuck is going on, and there's a lot of red flags with last night's show. But before I get into that red flag, I do want to talk about the one good thing that came out of AEW that I actually really enjoyed, and that was the segment between Darby Allin and Jon Moxley. Now, to me, when I saw this last night, it 100% gave me vibes of Lucha Underground, and it might have been the same for y'all. To me, it was exactly Lucha Underground-ish, and honestly, man, I was all for it. I thought it was put together very well. I think the production on it was put together. Whoever produced this did a fantastic job in producing this segment. And I'm hoping this is something that AEW continues to do on a more weekly basis for Dynamite and as well as Collision. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that we're going to see, opponents face off or have a segment in some kind of prison element, or if you're thinking about that. No. There's other ways to do it. You could do like a backstage brawl. You could do a parking lot attack, something like that. But if they did what they did last night with the Moxley and Darby Allin situation, and they do it for other storylines or other matches, I think it's going to benefit AEW tenfold, to be honest with you. It gave off Lucha Underground vibes. I thought it was put together very well. And because of that, I'm very excited to see this Darby Allin-Jon Moxley match at this year's Wrestledream on Saturday. I think it's going to be an incredible match. These guys are going to tear the house down. And I'm very interested to see who's going to walk out as the winner in this I Quit match at this year's Wrestledream. So I thought that was definitely the best thing out of Dynamite last night. With that being said, though, there was a lot of issues that I had with Dynamite last night. So we have a 6-man tag team matchup, and I wanted to talk about this, bro, because there's two things that happened with the Don Callis family that kind of pissed me off. We had the 6-man tag team matchup with Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega taking on Alexander, Hechicero, and Mark Davis. A return Mark Davis. My issue with this is, bro, where in the fuck is Andrade? Where's Andrade, bro? We have not seen Andrade now since he's returned back to AEW now, I believe, for two weeks. With no sign of Andrade. And it's got a lot of people speculating on, what the hell is going on here. I even heard through the grapevine that there was somebody that said that Andrade might be the mole for WWE. Which I thought was crazy and hilarious, but, bro, where is Andrade? And what I mean by the mole is Andrade is relaying information back to WWE from AEW and vice versa, which I think is absolutely insane. But where the hell is Andrade? Where's Andrade, bro? Why was Andrade not a part of this 6-man tag team matchup? Due to the fact that when he returned to AEW, he attacked Kenny Omega, who was also a part of this 6-man tag team matchup. We got no sign of Andrade. And then there was a video package that was played to celebrate Don Callis' birthday, where he walked into this restaurant and you had some of the Don Callis family. Takeshita was there via video call, because he was over in New Japan winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And they had a little funny moment with Okada turning TV off or whatever, and he said, "Oh, I hit the wrong button," which I thought was hilarious. But there was no sign of Andrade there either. So where the fuck is Andrade? And it's got a lot of people speculating, bro, is he on his way out? Was there a falling out between Andrade and Tony Khan already? I don't know where the hell Andrade is. And I know damn well he's not injured. So I don't know what they're doing with Andrade. I was against him even joining the Don Callis family. I would have brought him back and aligned him up with LFI. I don't know what's going on. Or maybe the Don Callis family kicked them out, and maybe he will join LFI. I know, Rouge put out a tweet not too long ago saying that he wants to see LFI get bigger and add new members and shit like that. It should have been Andrade. But I think he put that tweet out thinking that Santos Escobar was leaving WWE and going over to AEW, and that did not happen. Santos ended up returning back to WWE and signing a contract, staying with WWE on probably a multi-year deal. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Andrade. I thought that was weird. I didn't understand that at all. The other thing, too, man, is Wrestledream. I'm going to be honest with you guys, man. This card for Wrestledream is slapped together out of thin air. A lot of rematches, matches that don't make sense. This might be one of the first times since I watched AEW where I'm actually not 100% thrilled with a pay-per-view leading into it. Besides the Moxley Darby Allin match, there's not really another match on here that I'm really excited about. I'm just not. You got Chris Statlander, Toni Storm, and I'm a big fan of Toni Storm. I think she's great. I'm a big fan of Chris Statlander, but whoever takes the L here is not going to be good for either one of these women. If Chris walks into this match and walks out not having the AEW championship, you want to talk about a waste of time for as far as the title reign is concerned for Chris Statlander. If Tony loses, how does it look good on Toni Storm? This now would be that Chris Statlander beat Toni Storm twice. Since she's won the AEW title. So I don't know what it does for Toni Storm. You know what I mean? So I don't know how that's going to play out between Storm and Chris Statlander. We also have Samoa Joe versus Adam Page, bro, which I'm going to be honest, man. I don't even know why. I have an idea why this match was thrown together. But my God, it makes no sense, bro. It just doesn't. And honestly, seeing Samoa Joe versus Page, I respect both of them. They're both great. and Joe's trying to do whatever he can to be a heel into this. It just doesn't work, man. Joe being a heel right now, it's just not organic. It feels like it's a forced agenda, and it's just not there, man. It's just not. I don't think anybody really is in tune with this matchup, to be honest. It feels forced. It feels like because there's nobody else, they gave Samoa Joe Adam Page for the AEW World title because there is nobody else. Everybody's out with injuries. I mean, hell, Kota Ibushi's going to be out for the next 2 fucking years after his match he had with Alexander, which I think he broke his femur, if I'm not mistaken. And the doctor said that he's not going to be able to wrestle again for another 2 fucking years. I mean, that's if Kota Ibushi even comes back, bro, which is crazy. 2 years is a long time, very long time. So injuries are really hindering AEW, bro. I mean, MJF's out. I don't know if he's celebrating his honeymoon, or I heard that he's, he's shooting another movie, so he's going to take some time off, and that's why he hasn't been on AEW television. MJF not being on TV is also hurting AEW. Swerve, Ospreay, Wardlow, Keith Lee, Adam Cole. I mean, these names that are out with injury or doing whatever is also hurting AEW because Tony Khan doesn't know how to build future stars, bro. And it shows. Dynamite last night was lackadaisical. It was lazy. It was brutal to watch, man. It really was. I don't know the direction of where they were going. Like I said, the best thing out of Dynamite last night, hands down, was the segment between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin. And to be honest, like I said, I mean, I will say that one positive thing about AEW, and if they continue to do that, it's going to get fans back in love, if you will, with AEW. If they want to be the alternative and be different, that's one way of doing it. It was very Lucha Underground-ish. And I wouldn't be against them doing something like Lucha Underground as far as telling stories and segments like that. Absolutely not. I mean, Lucha Underground was famous for those vignettes and those segments backstage and everything else. Absolutely. Setting up their matches, sure. Tony Khan and AEW can do the exact same thing, bro. If they actually had a decent production crew and produced shit like that week in and week out, AEW would be back to what it once was. And I think a lot of people are missing that with AEW, what brought them to the dance. I made it abundantly clear I missed what they had in the first 3 years of AEW. And once they signed that new TV rights deal, bro, everything went to shit. They just don't care anymore, man. And they got lazy, lackadaisical booking, logic gaps out the wazoo. They just don't give a shit, man. You know, and you look at this card for Wrestledream, bro, and you look at a match like Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe for the TNT title. Why is Briscoe not in the conversation to challenge Adam Page for the World Heavyweight title, considering that Briscoe beat MJF in that tables and tax match, where you would seem, it seems as if MJF is the number one contender to Adam Page's world title. But we're going to give Briscoe to Kyle Fletcher just for him to take a loss. Now, do I think Briscoe would beat Page? No. But it's a better loss to me than with Adam Page than it would be Kyle Fletcher. And not for nothing, it should have been Page versus Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher versus Kenny Omega. Fletcher was the one that took Kenny Omega out, and Omega went over to Japan, and he was doing whatever, going to Comic-Con or playing video games over in Japan and taking some time off. Why are we not rehashing the shit between Kyle Fletcher and Kenny Omega for the TNT title at this year's Wrestledream? Why are we not entertaining that? There's so many, and what I mean by logic gaps, bro, you can look at the situation with the six-man tag team matchup last night with Jack Perry teaming up with Kenny Omega. This was a guy that poured guts over Kenny Omega's birthday cake when Perry was a part of the Elite. We got no rebuttal from that between Perry and the Young Bucks, although they didn't call me in the time of need. So the hell with them. We don't really have a rebuttal on why they reunited Jurassic Express, to be honest. But they were going to put Perry and Kenny Omega in a tag team matchup after Perry beating the shit out of Kenny Omega when he had diverticulitis. And pretty much wrote him off television so he can deal with diverticulitis. But we're going to forget about all that shit. We're just going to, forget like it never happened. And we're just going to team up in a six-man tag team matchup against the Don Callis family. They're running out of options, folks. That's at the end of the day, that's what it is. They're running out of options. Tony Khan, with the injuries that they have right now that AEW has sustained with some of their talent, they're running out of options. And that's abundantly clear, bro. If you look at this card for Wrestledream, they are running out of creative options right now. I believe we also have Full Gear coming up in November. We also have World's End. So, I mean, do I think we're going to see Will Ospreay back anytime soon? No. We might be able to see Swerve if we're lucky, maybe. I don't even know. I think Swerve's going to be out just as long as Ospreay will. We could possibly see the return of MJF, which they need it. And I'm going to throw something out here, man. MJF should come back and win the AEW World Title. It's nothing against Adam Page, bro, but to me, MJF is the ace of this company. He's the guy. When you think of AEW, you think of MJF. MJF should be the guy that wins the AEW World Title. And on top of that, MJF can run it back with Bobby Lashley at World's End, where MJF will defend the AEW World Title against Bobby Lashley. Because I'm going to be honest, there's another, I believe, 6-man tag team matchup taking place at Wrestledream between the Gates of Agony and Ricochet versus the Hurt Syndicate. I think we see a debut of Cedric Alexander, where you can see Alexander then teaming up with Shelton Benjamin going after the AEW tag team titles, and we put Bobby Lashley in the main event scene. And I would run it back with MJF and Bobby Lashley and finish that storyline where MJF would be the AEW World Champion, defending that title against Bobby Lashley in December at World's End. That's just in my opinion. That's what I would do. But like I said, man, with the names they have out right now, both on the men's side of things and the women, it's hurting AEW. You look at Toni Storm and Statlander, bro, there's nobody else. Mercedes Moné is another one, man. I mean, she already filed a trademark for Ultimo Moné, which is pretty much a homage, if you want to think of, for Ultimo Dragon, because Mercedes Moné now has 11 belts to her list of championships, and she's already working on a 12th title as we speak. You know, Moné, I've already vented my frustrations with Mercedes Moné. And to be honest with you, I don't take back what I said. I think she's a great talent. I love what she did over in WWE as Sasha Banks. This run as Mercedes Moné in AEW, I think, is also tarnishing her career. And some people are, oh, how can you say that? Bro, it is. She's not putting over younger talent. And because of that, AEW is running out of options for number one contenders for the TBS Championship as well as the AEW World Championship, Women's World Championship. And they're running out of options. Moné is going through everybody. And they wanted to do that solely due to the fact that Tony Khan wanted Mercedes Moné to beat Jade Cargill's TBS title run, which I think she just did that, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. I could be wrong, but I think it was yesterday. And she's already working up for a 12th title. She could also be going after the AEW Women's Championship here soon if Chris Statlander does beat Toni Storm and we get Statlander versus Moné at World's End or Full Gear. If they have Full Gear this year, which I think they should. But I think that's the direction that they're going here. I think Moné is trying to do whatever she can to solidify herself as a top dog in women's wrestling. So when her contract comes up with AEW and there's contract talks between Moné and AEW as well as WWE, Moné's trying to do whatever she can to cash out and go back to WWE. She's trying to show them over at WWE that she's worth the money that she's asking for to go back to WWE. Whether they're going to facilitate that or not, I have no idea. I have no idea because I'm pretty sure Tony Khan's paying her quite a bit of money for her to be in AEW. I'm sure of it. But I think she's trying to do whatever she can to get back in the good graces of WWE. That's the reason why she's in AEW now, because she didn't like the contract that she was going to get in WWE when she returned. She wanted the same money, if not more, than what a Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch were getting, and they weren't getting that. And she wasn't getting that at the time from WWE. You know, but she also walked out on the company a couple times too due to the women's tag team situation and everything else. That's why she left. That's why Naomi left, and she went over to TNA, and the rest is history because of, you know, backstage conflicts and the business side between them and WWE. Just it turned salty. But I think that's exactly what she's doing. She's looking to cash out and go back to WWE, man. And honestly, the title run, I think it is hindering her career, to be honest with you. A lot of these championships she's won, bro, no one's ever even heard of these goddamn companies. At all, to be honest. And that's not, oh, well, you can do your research, bro. Nobody cares about these other companies. And I'm just keeping it a buck. Nobody cares about these companies. I'm just keeping it a buck with y'all, man. Nobody cares. Honestly. Except for a select few titles that she has, no one really gives a shit. No one's even heard of these companies before. So, take that with, you know, however you want to take it, but it's the truth. I don't know, man. I think Wrestledream this year is going to be lackadaisical at best. I mean, AEW is just missing out on a lot right now, man. Injuries are hindering them severely. We haven't seen Andrade. I don't know what the hell is going on with Andrade. And they just have so many people out, man. I mean, from the injuries from Cole, Keith Lee, Wardlow, Ibushi, now injured for 2 years now. He's going to be on the shelf. Bryan Danielson's no longer wrestling. He's doing commentary now. They're suffering injuries, bro. MJF's out. He's filming a movie or enjoying his honeymoon. Swerve's out. Ospreay's out. It's hurting them. It is, bro. It definitely plays a vital part in the AEW's production as of late because they don't have these household names right now on the roster in AEW because they're out with injury. It's the same thing from the women's side, bro. Deeb's out. Camille's out. We haven't seen Nyla Rose. I don't know where the hell Sheeta is. No, there's no sign of Sheeta. Britt Baker's in Guantanamo Bay or Guantanamo Bay. We don't know when Baker's coming back or if she does come back. I mean, it's also suffering from the women's side, too. And that's why they're running out of options for contenders for the TBS title as well as the women's championship. It's the same thing for the men's side. TNT title, especially the AEW World Championship. It's the same thing. That's why we got Samoa Joe versus Adam Page. That's 100% why we got this matchup. Logic gaps, injuries are hurting them, and they just creatively right now, they're scrambling. Trying to figure this shit out, trying to put the pieces together to put on some decent half-ass pay-per-view at Wrestledream. And that's what we're getting. It's going to be a very lackadaisical pay-per-view, bro, to be honest. And for those people out there, we're going to get 8 matches. You know damn well we're getting 13 to 14 matches for this Wrestledream event. We always do, bro. For those praying for a shorter pay-per-view, it ain't going to happen. Because Tony Khan and AEW believe in quantity over quality. I'll easily take 5 or 6 matches that are quality over 13 matches that mean jack shit. And I made that abundantly clear. But Tony Khan and AEW, every single pay-per-view, they're putting on 12 to 13 matches per pay-per-view. That's from the pre-show, the kickoff show, all the way to the main card. It's 13 goddamn matches. 13 matches that we just don't need. 13 matches that make no sense, man. To be honest with you, for me personally, the only match that I'm actually excited to see, like I mentioned earlier, was Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley in the I Quit match. That's about it. There's, to me, on this card, everything is kind of predictable at this point. Now, will Monet defend the TBS title at Wrestledream? I have no idea. Would I be shocked if she didn't? No. Because right now there is nobody. Well, who's she gonna defend the TBS title with right now, bro? There's no top contender for her to defend that TBS title with right now. AEW's also incorporated women's tag team titles, and we have no inkling on where they're going with that. We have no idea. Right now, that's on the shelf right now until they figure out what the hell they're going to do with that. AEW is hurting right now, bro. That's the end of at the end of the day, they're hurting. Creatively, they're hurting. They are hurting. This is not the same AEW that we got in the first 3 years. It's just not. It's not. And it's sad, man, because you figured, what we got in the first 3 years of AEW, it was great. Some of the best television we got in AEW, and now it's progressively gotten worse over time, which is crazy. Which is absolutely crazy. And I don't know, man. I just, to me personally, I think AEW's, I don't know. It's AEW's turning from all elite wrestling to all excuses wrestling real quick, man. Coming up with excuses, coming up with bullshit, it doesn't make sense, man. And the thing of it is, for me personally, and I told you guys this, man, I'm not shitting on AEW for clicks or views. I'm not. I want AEW to succeed because, honestly, at the end of the day, it's great for pro wrestling. It's great for pro wrestling fans. It's great for the talent. On both sides of the fence, bro, whether we're looking at WWE or AEW, it gives these men and women opportunities to wrestle and provide for their families, man, whether it's WWE or AEW. I think it's great. They don't have to just go back to the independents, man. They can go back, they can go to AEW, they can go to TNA, they can go to WWE. I mean, Christ, bro, look what TNA's doing right now. TNA probably is the number 2 wrestling company in the world right now behind WWE. Look at Bound for Glory, man. Look at that tag team matchup between the Hardys and the Dudleys. That was the Dudleys' last match, and they rode off into the fucking sunset. They had, Javon Evans versus Leon Slater? I think that was one of the matches for TNA. Great. I think that was one of the matches. Mike Santana versus Trick Williams, and Santana finally got the TNA Championship title back. It was a great celebration for Mike Santana, and well-deserved. Santana is severely underrated. Severely underrated. And when I heard that he won the title, man, I was happy as hell. That guy's put the time in, man. He has worked his ass off to get that to the position that he's at now. He took a chance on himself, and it paid off. You got to respect him, man. Whether you like the guy or not, you got to respect it. And I respect the hell out of Mike Santana. But, again, TNA is doing really good things. NXT and that partnership with TNA, it's panning out very well. AEW right now, man, they're just at a standstill. They really are. And I don't know... If they keep going the direction that they're going, bro, there might not be a future for AEW. You know, a lot of the guys that are working there, seemingly, that have been there since day one, look like they don't even want to work there. Like Kenny Omega. And I talked about this so many times, man, but Kenny Omega looks like he doesn't even want to fucking be there. Like it's a waste of time. And honestly, I'm going to throw this out here just for my own rumors and speculation. I think the reason why we're seeing Omega on television right now is because all these other people that are out with injury is putting Omega on television right now. If these people were back in AEW, we wouldn't see Omega as much. He'd be on a part-time basis. More now than what he has been. Oh, sure. But unfortunately, with the injuries that they have and that sustained AEW, they need the likes of Kenny Omega right now to put him on television. Because their top names, their top guys are out right now. And they don't know how to build future stars, bro. That's the ultimate issue with AEW. And that right there alone is going to be what hinders this company for the next 10 years, if they're around for the next 10 years. Because you're not building your future for this company. You're just not. Right now, on paper, you can't tell me, oh yeah, well, they're building for the future. With who? Kyle Fletcher? No. Who else we got? Willow? No. There's nobody else, man. You know, you look at that 6-man tag team matchup with the Don Callis family versus Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega. Why are we getting the return and putting him in a match with Mark Davis, bro? Why? There's other ways to showcase Mark Davis than putting him in that tag team matchup. Hell, it could have been Alexander Hechicero and Andrade versus Kenny Omega versus Jurassic Express due to the fact that Andrade returned to AEW and the first person that he attacked on his return was Kenny Omega. Or you know what? Why are we not getting Kenny Omega versus Andrade at this year's Wrestledream? Why are we not getting that? Like I said, bro, where in the hell is Andrade? Did they already have a falling out between Tony Khan and Andrade already? The guy hasn't been on television since he returned in 2 weeks, I believe. Where the hell is Andrade? Why are we getting no rebuttal from Andrade? Why is Kenny Omega not talking about this when he was on Dynamite last night? Calling out Andrade after their match that they won. Omega could have grabbed the microphone and said, you know what, Andrade, I'm calling you out. Me and you at Wrestledream. Great. Nope. Omega saw the Young Bucks come out. Young Bucks beat the shit out of Jurassic Express. And then Kenny Omega looked shocked and he walked out of the ring and he went to the back. End of the match. Nothing. Hell, the video package for Don Callis' birthday celebration. You think Andrade was sitting at that goddamn table? No. It was Lance Archer. It was Rocky Romero. Trent Beretta. I believe it was Trent Beretta. I know it was Rocky Romero, Archer, Trent Beretta, Kyle Fletcher, Josh Alexander. And then we see Takeshita on a via satellite from Japan, celebrating the Don Callis family. And we also saw Okada as well. Where's Andrade, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make fucking sense. Honestly. Or if we're not going to get Andrade versus Omega, why are we not entertaining Kyle Fletcher versus Kenny Omega? After Fletcher taking out Omega, which took him out of AEW, and Omega went over to, Japan and played video games in Japan and went to Comic-Con over in Japan, taking some time off. Why are we not running it back between Fletcher and Omega? But we're going to act like it never happened. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, this company, if they can do what they did last night with Darby Allin and Jon Moxley, this company can get back to what it once was. And unfortunately, I know people are like, well, things do change. Unfortunately, those times those things change, it also can fuck shit up. They need to go back to what brought them to the dance, bro. I mean, we're talking about a company, man, that probably at one time had the best tag team division on the fucking planet. On the planet. LAX, Ortiz, Santana, the Lucha Bros, Penta and Phoenix, FTR, the Hardys. Remember them? They were a part of the tag team division. Private Party, the Dark Order. Where are these? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened? AEW's tag team division is fucking awful anymore. It's so bad. And a lot of those tag teams are gone, man. I mean, look what the Hardys are doing right now in TNA. They're killing it right now. TNA tag team champions, NXT tag team champions. You dropped the ball with the Hardys, man. And speaking of other people being out, where's Christian Cage? Where's Copeland? Is Copeland done with the company? Is he going back to WWE? Where's Christian Cage? We saw that Copeland had to take some time off or go back and figure his shit out. Where's Christian Cage? We haven't heard anything from either one of these guys, I believe, since All Out. So where's Copeland? Where's Cage? Nothing. Nothing. And that's what I'm saying, bro. Because of that shit right there, it hinders AEW, which is unfortunate because men and women should be able to take, and AEW should be able to take their time off. Take their time off or deal with injuries or what have you. Because you have the other talent that's on the roster that's building the future for AEW. But because Tony Khan and AEW is not doing that, it's hurting this company, man. It is. It is. It's blatant. You can see it right in front of your face every single week on Dynamite, man. They need to hit the reset button in some kind of capacity, man. Seriously. And I don't know who Tony Khan is listening to. I don't know who's on that creative team, but my God, man. You guys cannot be that naive and that dumb to think what you guys have been doing as of late has been working. You can't. Look at the analytics, bro. Look at the ticket sales. Pay-per-view buys. Something has to fucking change. Story. Progression. Logic. Get us invested in the product. Like, come on. It's at the end of the day, bro, it's not hard to do. It's not. It's not. Wrestling needs a story. Bottom line of it. Oh, no, it does. No, yes, it does. Because that story and that leading up to that match and how good that story is and how good that match is, you're going to remember that match for the rest of your life. Taker Mankind. I still remember that match. And all the shit that they went through. The boiler room attack between Taker and Mankind. It was great. The Hell in a Cell match where Taker threw Mankind off that Hell in a Cell. Damn near killed Mankind. Shawn and Brett. The Iron Man match. Remember that? I mean, come on, bro. Like, you got to have those moments in professional wrestling. Because wrestling is all about moments. Pro wrestling is all about storyline and moments. For example, we got that storyline and moment with John Cena and AJ Styles. Both Styles and Cena and what they did in that match was their love letter to pro wrestling is what they did. In that match, paying homage to some of these other wrestlers that helped them throughout their careers to get them to where they're at today. That was their gratitude towards pro wrestling, their love story or love, whatever you want for pro wrestling. That's what both those guys did. They were paying homage to the guys that helped them get into the business, to help them get to where they're at now in a 25-year career that both these gentlemen have had. They're paying homage to those guys that helped them build their careers. You know what I mean? It was their love story for professional wrestling. Paying homage to pro wrestling. And what it's done for them as individuals. It was great. That's a moment. That's a story in itself. John Cena paying homage to the late, great Bray Wyatt. And we hit that Sister Abigail on AJ Styles. We saw all the fireflies in the arena. That was a moment. And you know damn well it was a moment because after the match, the backstage, all the superstars backstage, and everybody gave those guys a round of applause, a standing ovation. Because the moment they had in that ring. Their story for professional wrestling. The moment. That's what AEW needs, bro. That's what they need. Story. Moments. That we don't forget. Now, have they had moments? Absolutely. But they got away from that for quite some time. They need to get back to that. I don't give a shit about banger matches, man. I want moments. I want storylines. Get us invested in these matches. Because honestly, truthfully, how many matches can you guys honestly say for this year's Wrestledream that you're actually invested on due to story? Honestly. The only one that I can honestly say that I'm invested in with story, after what happened last night, is Moxley and Darby Allin. And that honestly is solely based off that segment last night, because it was put together very well. There's no other match on Wrestledream that I'm actually invested in due to storyline, man. Because creatively, AEW has been in the toilet. And they need to change it. They need to fix it. Let's get back to what brought us to the dance, folks. Honestly. Have shit here at AEW make sense. Build stories, build logic, long-term booking, so we can invest it in these matches, invested in these superstars, and invested in these storylines for these matches. There's so many companies, bro, that have done it that well. And the number one, and I hate saying it, but the number one company that I remember that did storylines and matches so perfect was NXT Black and Gold. The commentary with Morrow, the matches they put together, the storylines they helped build for these matches. The takeovers were incredible, man. Incredible. To me, that was the last time I can honestly say that I was invested in storyline and pro wrestling so much from the story in a while, was NXT Black and Gold. They did it so perfectly. So much so that it felt like it was effortless, man. They just got so used to doing those storylines, and it got better and better over time. Undisputed Era, Gargano and Ciampa, figuring out who attacked Aleister Black backstage, and that whole thing between him and Nikki Cross, where Nikki Cross pretty much spilled the beans to Aleister Black when he was, sitting in the middle of the ring. It was great. It was great. Undisputed Era and all the shit they did. Keith Lee in NXT. I mean, God, man, it was put together so well, man. It really was. And I wish AEW would be like that. You put on 5 or 6 banger matches. We get great storyline week in and week out on Dynamite and Collision. That's what we need, bro. That's what we need. Tony Khan needs to hire producers and a creative team that can do that for AEW. You want to be different. You want to be the alternative. The shit you did with Darby Allin and Jon Moxley last night, that's being different. That's being the alternative. We need more of that shit on AEW television week in and week out. Those type of segments, that kind of production, that kind of shit right there is what we need on AEW to get us invested in this product and in these matches and these storylines. That's what we need. You guys want to be the number 2 company in the world, man. That's what you guys need to do. You ain't going to be number 1. I just don't think that's going to happen. Not with what WWE's doing as of late. But right now, TNA is on the heels of what AEW is doing right now, for sure. So they need to figure it out and get back to what brought them to the dance, man. We need storylines. We need something to get invested in with AEW. Because I'm telling you right now, Wrestledream is not looking good. I think the only match for me that I'm invested in is Jon Moxley and Darby Allin, to be honest with you. But with that being said, this is my review of AEW's Dynamite. I hope you guys are out there